Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Professionals Podcast. My name is Guy Dawson, and I am your host. And in the Professionals group, we are a group of people who are inspired to reach the highest levels of professionalism. And there are many, many ways to achieve that vaunted task. I do interviews, and other members of the Professionals group do interviews with our fellow members, movers and shakers in the community, and people who are very much committed to the principles of professionalism. And there is a lady who I interviewed several years ago. I guess it would be several years ago almost, wouldn't it, Rachel? When did I interview you? It was 2020, wasn't it?
I think it was a year ago.
Maybe it was
2021.
Right. Well, she is a return.
I think it was earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was 2021, huh? Well, anyway, it's been a while. And Rachel is back. She is a growth coach and an inspirational person. And welcome back to the Professionals Podcast, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm happy to be here.
And recently, Rachel posted, and it warmed my heart. She did this post about how she did a podcast with me whenever it was, a year ago or whenever the time was that she did it. And I didn't know that was the first time that she had actually done a podcast. I had interviewed Rachel many years ago on a TV show that I used to host. And I remember that experience, but I didn't know that was the first time she'd ever done a podcast. And she did a post recently, and she talked about the experience and how it inspired her. And ever since, she's done a whole lot more podcasts, many more podcasts, right, Rachel?
Many. I've done close to 50.
Wow. So I got her started, and here she is. Now she's like the consummate podcast guest. So I always appreciate opportunities to help people to move forward in their careers and in their professionalism. And Rachel is definitely a person who's committed to being the very best that she can be. Will you tell us, Rachel, about your career? How do you help people? What skill and what offering do you have for the betterment of people?
Yeah. So I have two aspects of my coaching practice. I help mental health and addiction, people who struggle in those areas. I have a soft spot for them. That was my original goal and plan for becoming a coach. A lot of my family members struggled with addiction and mental health, so I grew up around it and saw what it does to the individual and saw what it does to the family. And that's really what triggered my passion for wanting to help people in those areas of struggle, in those areas of dark places where they can't see a way out. And then I also help business owners, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals who want to get to that next level in any area of their life. So I really work with them on their mindset and their mental health. How are they feeling? How are they viewing things from their perspective? And is that holding them back? Limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, negative self-talk. Are those things holding them back from truly getting to where they want to go in every area of their life?
It's really interesting, Rachel, when you talked about wanting to help people with addictions and other challenges that they may face. When we think about professionalism, I think a lot of times we think about professionals are just they're ready to go, they're perfect, they don't have any problems in their lives. And of course, we know that that's not necessarily true, that people who live on this planet are afflicted with all types of things, such as mental health challenges, as well as addiction challenges, as are professionals. And so taking that approach in terms of that being a part of how you coach people, how are you able to get people to face those two particular challenges? Because addiction and mental health are some pretty severe challenges for people. How are you able to steer people or guide them in the direction of helping them deal with those particular issues?
It starts with meeting them where they're at. So where are they currently? And when someone comes to you with a problem, that problem really isn't the problem. There's a deeper problem that they don't see because they've been in it so long. They don't really even know what the problem is. They just think that they know the surface level problem. So that's what they're presenting to you. So helping them dig a little bit deeper to find the real thing, and that's what we can work on from there, is helping them identify that.
Right. Yeah. Definitely the first step in correcting something is definitely all about identifying what the problem is. Right. Until you identify what the
Mhm.
problem is, it's very difficult to address issues that you have.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So you identify the problem that they're having, and so what's the next step after that?
Then it's working towards the goal that they want to get to. So, specifically with the mental health and addiction, my goal for me is to help keep them on the right track. So the goal for them would be to have them create goals for themselves. Where are they currently at? Where is it that they want to go? And how can we take steps towards that so that they're creating new habits? They're identifying who they are now outside of that addiction or mental health diagnosis, and working towards reaching those goals. My ultimate goal would be to prevent relapsing and to prevent falling back into old habits. So, working on their mindset, working on the internal emotions so that they can move forward and create the life that they want in this new frame of mind and new perspective that I'm helping them achieve.
Hmm. So I guess there's got to be a certain level of willingness in that person, Rachel. Like they say, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Do people who come to you generally have an element of willingness, I would think, even to address things that are as serious as mental health or addiction? Do they generally come to you like that, or do they come to you where they're just kind of kicking and screaming? They know something's wrong, but they don't necessarily want to make change. And I'm sure you get probably a combination of both.
Mhm. Yes, the person has to be coachable and willing to do the work. Like you said, if you lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. Same thing with a person. You can't make them do anything they're not willing to do. So it does take a little bit of pre coaching, like showing them that there's a benefit to doing the work that needs to be done. And yeah, it's a combination of both. Some people come because they know they have a problem and they know they need to do something different and they don't know what else to do. And some people, like we said before, don't know the real problem. So they're coming for this, but it turns out they really need help with this.
Hmm. Right. And so I guess your job as the growth coach is to, you got to be a pretty good student of people and really getting it right, having a pretty good understanding of what makes them tick. Like, what is it, you, because as human beings, we have a lot of layers, as you had mentioned, you- um, getting to the core of the problem, there's usually a lot of layers that are above that core. It's a deep seated issue, especially when you're talking about very serious things such as addictions. And so I guess I'm sure that this is really improving you in terms of being a student of human nature and really understanding people
Yes.
and how you can get people to take a look at themselves. Does your work require a lot of that?
Mhm. Yes, you really have to be able to read somebody. You have to be able to communicate with them and ask the right questions Ask them questions that maybe they haven't thought of, and ask them questions to find out answers to things that they might have not thought of. So really knowing a person's values, what's important to them in life, helps you understand what's important to them, which would help you understand how to coach them. If you know what's important to them, you can coach them in that way of things that are important to them. Also knowing how they communicate. We're all different types of communicators. It's similar to the 5 love languages, or it's similar to DISC personalities. We each have a communication style and a learning style. So if you can learn the different ways that people communicate and the different ways that they learn, you could then coach them in that way, and it makes it more easier for them to understand and relate to you as their coach, and help coach them through the things that they need to do.
And I would imagine that it's a very different mindset coaching someone who's dealing with a mental health issue or some type of an addiction as compared to on the entrepreneurial side. Like I know you were saying, you provide coaching on both sides, where an entrepreneur who wants to do better in business requires a different type of coaching. Could you give us an explanation of that? Because those are really two very different things, even though it's all about growth and change.
Yeah, it all comes down to growth and change and mindset. So yes, there are 2 different target markets. However, their mindset and their perspective is really what I'm working on with both of them. They're just starting at different levels of their growth. So working with the business owner, the entrepreneur, the sales professional, helping them get rid of those limiting beliefs that are holding them back, figure out the self-sabotage that they don't know that they're doing. I remember that I personally didn't know I was self-sabotaging myself. So it's being that sounding board for somebody, because if you're part of the problem, you can't be part of the solution, and you can't see what you don't see. So having that person to talk with on a weekly basis and be that sounding board for them, so that they can identify those things that you don't know, really will help propel them forward.
Yes, and increasing their awareness, the self-awareness. I think, Rachel, my experiences with being mentored or coached by people through the years in different areas is having that outside perspective really broadens my self-awareness, because you're getting feedback from another person. You know, they have all these sayings, right? I love all these sayings that they have, like, you can't fix your brain with your brain.
Exactly.
And so just having someone else's brain or someone else's perspective to offer you, I know for me, it makes me more aware of what I'm doing. Like you said, we're self-sabotaging. All human beings are, to an extent. We're doing self-sabotage type things all the time, but being in the middle of it really kind of stops you from being able to step away enough to be able to make the corrections. And just having someone on the outside to offer some suggestions to you of ways that you can take a look at things. I know my experience of that type of thing is very positive. It's very constructive when a person is ready, like you had mentioned before.
Yes. All change is done on an unconscious level. So what does that mean? It means that when you're a young child and you're learning to walk, you stand up, you fall over. You stand up and you fall over. You stand up and you grab on the table and you walk along the table, and then you take a step and you fall down. And then after doing it over and over, it becomes a habit. Now, as an adult, you don't have to think about how to walk. You just walk. Same thing for tying your shoe or riding a bike. You do it over and over and over until it becomes a habit. So we've created habits that become unconscious. We don't think about it. We don't know we're doing it. We just do it. We don't tell ourselves to blink. We don't tell ourselves to breathe. We don't tell ourselves to the steps of tying your shoe or the steps of riding a bike or anything else that you've created a habit for. You just do it. And it's because it became unconscious. You don't no longer have to think about it. Well, that could become negative things too that you did consistently over and over and over. That became a habit, and now it's running on its own, and we don't know it because it's just natural to us. So really having someone identify those habits that we've created that we don't know we created is the key to helping someone change and grow.
Yeah, the process of reprogramming
Exactly.
at an unconscious level is it's like lifelong. I mean, it
Yes.
never ends, right, Rachel? Because
Yeah.
we've developed these habits. Many of these habits we've been developing since we were little kids. And
Mhm.
here you are, you're 30 years old, you're 40 years old, you're 50 years old. You've been doing things the same way for your life. I know that it develops, I know in the brain, they call them neural pathways. So habits that we develop, good or bad, are constructed by us throughout
Mhm.
our lives. The only thing is we don't know we're creating the habits because it's happening at an unconscious level. And reversing that can be very, very challenging. So I would imagine you have your hands full when you're working with people and trying to help them to change their habits.
Yeah. Well, the process of changing it can be easy if the person is willing to do
Mm.
it.
That's true.
That's the key. If they're willing to do it, it will be easy. The thing is, it is like you said, it's um, ever evolving like an onion. You peel something back and there's a new layer there. And that's because the unconscious only presents to you what you're ready to deal with. It's like a filing cabinet. Every experience you've ever had, every memory you've ever had is stored in your brain, in your filing cabinet. So it's just a matter of digging through the filing cabinet and pulling out the thing that you need to work on, the event, the experience, the memory that we need to work through. So it's figuring out the root, which one of those files do we need to pull out and rework, change the perspective, how you viewed it, change the habit and how you stored it in your body. And that one's done. So there's a lot of files in that cabinet. So it's just a matter of how much you're willing to do the work. And when you're ready, it'll present itself. And if you're not, that's okay. It'll stay there. There's no
And do you
right or wrong. It's just what's right for the person at the right time.
mhm. And do you find that you see the change in the people that you work with quicker than they sometimes see it in themselves?
Yes. It takes a client an average of, I'd say, 3 to 6 months, depending on the person, to see the change within themselves. But working on an unconscious level and reworking those habits is what makes the results happen faster, which is why my coaching gets faster results, is because we're working through those habits and changing them on a neurological level.
Yeah, that's really important, Rachel, because we live in a fast world. And so when you're working with people and to keep them enthusiastic and inspired, even if it's personal development, I mean, people really are looking for results relatively quickly.
Mhm.
And so how do you manage that, the expectations that a person has about the change that can happen within them? And then of course being, realistic is not one of my favorite words. But yes, there are only so much you can accomplish at one time. I mean, there's levels of consciousness like we've been talking about, these layers of the onion they peel away when they peel away, sometimes faster than other times. So how do you manage their expectations in terms of the value that you're delivering to them? This is more on the professionalism aspect.
Mm-hmm. Well, my question would be, how fast do they want the results? How much are they willing to get the results? I have a program set up where we could get results very quickly if they're willing to do the work to get there. And also letting them know to be patient with themselves in the process. Like you said, it's taken you 30, 40, 50 years to create the habits you've created. So be patient with yourself while we work and reframe or rephrase how you've stored that habit in your neurology, in your brain, in your mind. Mm-hmm. So it's just allowing them to be patient with themselves, to know that we are working on it and it will happen. And it's taken you your lifetime to create the habit. So it's going to take a little bit of time to undo it, but it can happen. And like I said, I do have a program set up where we can get results quickly if you're willing to do the work.
This is a group full of professionals from all over the world. How could one of these professionals benefit from working with you in your coaching program?
Well, I have several options set up. So the best thing would be to hop on a discovery call with me. I always offer a free discovery call. That is so we can see if I'm a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for me, and if we can work together to get the results that you want. And then once we decide that, we can move forward in which program fits best for you. I have the individual one-on-one coaching. I have group programs set up. I have the breakthrough session set up, which is the dig in the dirt, pull out all the weeds, really want to get results fast program. So it's what works for you, what works in your budget, how fast do you want the results, and let's make it happen.
And I know you had mentioned to me that you have a special program that you're offering right now that's very affordable and produces pretty quick results. Would you like to talk about that?
Mm-hmm. I created a new program. It's a 90-day group coaching program. It did start March 1st. I will have another one launching here soon. I will get back to you with the dates on that. However, the group coaching program is a 90-day program. It's $297 for the 3 months. And it is a way for you to see if coaching is right for you. It's to keep you accountable to reaching your goals, supporting you in reaching your goals, and guiding you through those times when you just don't feel like doing it. We, as professionals, we set goals. We all have goals. And there are days when you just feel like, I don't feel like doing it today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then the day rolls into the next day, and the day rolls into the next day. Or we just feel unmotivated, or we just feel like, well, we get inside our heads and, oh, maybe nobody's listening to me, and maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe I should do this. But we have all these questions and we doubt ourselves. So it is a program to help push you through those days when you just don't feel like doing it, when you're getting inside of your own head. It's somebody to keep you accountable, to push you through it. And when you stay consistent and create those habits in just a short 90 days, you can see that your life will change significantly.
Yes, accountability is so important, Rachel, in terms of working towards our goals. I mean, ultimately, we are only accountable to ourselves, but having someone on the outside that you've committed to, that you said that you were going to be accountable to, it has a way of motivating. That's why basketball teams don't coach themselves. They have a coach who they have to stay accountable to all the time. And trainers and coaches like you, I think it's just such a helpful thing for a lot of people, is just having that person that can help you with your mindset, point some things out, and ultimately someone who you are actually accountable to, I have a coach actually that I met with in business yesterday, and I hadn't met with him in a while. And it was just a stimulating activity, because I just got to talk to him. I got to share something with him, and he immediately gave me the best answer, based on the information that I provided to him. And it was just great. So I understand what you do, Rachel, and it does all begin with mindset, though. You've got to get your mind right, because I think activity comes as a result of mindset shifts. So when people are having lots of problems with activity, getting things done, finishing things, it's because you're having trouble with your mindset. That's the real cause of it. You may say to yourself, well, I'm lazy, I'm unmotivated, all this. Well, yes, you are. And that's because there's something not going on upstairs. There's something in your mind that's not leading you towards what it is that you want to accomplish. So I think that the things that you're doing is just so important for helping people be more successful, to grow and truly be who they were meant to be.
Mm-hmm. And when people say like, oh, I'm just procrastinating, or oh, I'm lazy, that's the surface reason. That's what you're telling yourself is the reason. But it's like I said earlier, it's a deeper reason. So is it because you don't believe in yourself? Is it because you don't know if you can do it, or you don't want to fail, or you don't want to mess up and, in front of people? It's different reasons for everybody. And having that person to help you figure that out will help you move forward. When those days happen that you're feeling lazy, you're feeling unmotivated, you're feeling like you're procrastinating, having that coach to tell you and help you figure out why that's happening. Why are you feeling unmotivated? Why are you feeling lazy? It's a form of sabotage. So figuring out why that's happening.
Yeah, all great information, Rachel. The last question I have for you is, and I might have asked it when I interviewed you last time, but if there's one suggestion that you could give to a person to become a greater professional, what would it be?
Focus on what it is that you want. So many people focus on the negative. I don't want my business to fail. I don't want, this to happen. I don't want that to happen. What do you want? I did a post about this the other day. Whatever you focus on is what you're going to get. I use the analogy, if you're driving down the freeway and you see an accident and you look over to see what happened, what happens? Your car starts going over there too, right? Well, what you focus on, you create. So focus on the positive. Focus on the things that you do want. If you don't want your business to fail, you want it to succeed. So just changing that little aspect of focusing on the positive things in life will help you create more positivity in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, being intentional. Be very intentional, and intentional in a constructive way, because we can be intentional in a negative way, as you had mentioned before, when you're constantly talking about what you don't want or the outcome that you don't want to see. You're being intentional destructively. But the things that you're talking about is being intentional constructively.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great advice for professionals. Well, I appreciated having the opportunity to bring you back, Rachel. Again, you are such an inspiration to me, because as I mentioned in the last interview, I was in the studio with you the first time that you had ever been interviewed anywhere. And I saw where you were, at just a very shy person who was facing something that was a real challenge, and to see the growth. And now, of course, Rachel is also in another organization, Toastmasters, that I'm a part of. And just watching her being willing to peel away the layers of the onion, and then you being generous enough to give back to others and to want to help them do some of the things that you've done to have a more fulfilling life and a happier life. And you've got your beautiful daughter and your business that you're developing. I'm so happy and proud for you, Rachel. And I wish you nothing but success. And professionals out there, reach out to Rachel. She's one of the real ones. and she practices what she's preaching here. I mean, I'm around her quite a bit, and if they want to be a part of one of your programs or they want to be coached by you, how can they get in contact with you?
Mhm. Well, if you want to connect with me on Facebook, I have a private Facebook group. It's called the Growing You Forum. It's a great place to find that positivity, to find that hope, to find that support. It's a great community. I'd love for you all to join there. And then if you want to reach out to me personally, you can call my cell phone, 702-714-1888. I'm open to anybody and having a conversation with you. And if you would like to email me, it is rachel@empoweringgrowthcoach.com.
All right, outstanding, Rachel. And again, for all you professionals out there, this whole group is about mindset. It really is. It's about to become a great professional. It all starts between your ears, and then it manifests in your ability to be able to do an amazing job at whatever field you are a professional in. Working with people like Rachel is really an important aspect of being a top-notch professional, because pretty much everyone who's really great at anything has someone that's coaching them to do that. Anyway, in the professionals group, we have a lot of exciting things that are going to be coming up. Stay tuned for announcement. We're doing a rebranding. We've got some exciting events that are coming up. Just stay plugged in, professionals. This is going to be a wild ride this year, and I can't wait to take it with all of you as we grow to become the world's greatest professionals. See you soon.